Hey, it's Joe Glines, and maybe you'll be interested in this. I'm doing this more just to remind myself because I always forget how to do this. But in a matrix question, I often want the words right aligned, and I want to control the width of these columns. And also notice I'm actually color coding these more for when you're on a mobile device. They tend to a mobile device. These are get one question at a time, and often the question, quote unquote, like this one just blends in. And so it's to help make it pop. So I wanted to change that. And I didn't want to do that on each one. You could do it within HTML on the questions, but this is just a much easier, simpler approach. So let's go back. Let me change this back to the normal desktop view. And the secret sauce really is in the CSS. And this is where I always have a hard time finding it. So come to style, and then it's such a terrible spot. So this custom HTML CSS editor, click in here, and I'll make this file available to you. Hopefully, I can try to paste it in the description of this video, but if not, I'll put a link somewhere. These are my defaults. So this, and I've tried to comment where it does. This is setting, I think it sets all the columns to a standard width. So that's to make sure that the 1 and 7, because if you go back, I can't go back to there. Up here, when these normally this because this has text, this would be much wider, and then it would bunch together the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the 7 would be much wider. Well, statistically, if you do that, people might infer different values for the, even though they should be using the numbers. And I just like to anchor the numbers and not have text on each one. That way I want them to rely on the numbers. So when I take a mean of it, they're much more likely using the numbers and the words themselves. So I like to anchor them. But these distances, if we're going to take the average, really should be at equal intervals, right? If you know the nominal ordinal interval ratio type stuff, look that up, Google it. But it does make a difference how they treat those numbers, and is for really, you know, a lot more than 2, right? And by having them equal distance, it'll help with that. So anyway, that's why I care about that. And then what I've done is for each one of these, I have, so let's see, that's there. Here's the, and I probably should have put the, wait, no, that's not that one, this one. Sets the color of the deep red. Okay, so this is for the changing the color. No, that's on each one. This is the one. Yeah, that's weird. Oh, I added it in my file. So here is my file, which is that that one just isn't quite up to date. But this, here's right aligns it, sets a color red, sets the color red. Where's, here we go. Shading, here we go. This is the one I was looking at. So this is what sets the shading. Do you think I have enough windows open? This is what sets the shading. So this is the gray here, because I wanted to, you know, help differentiate people so they know what row they're on, right? So again, on a computer, this is really important. On a mobile device, it doesn't really matter. But I like having that, and that is what this does. And of course, you could go in and change this color, right? And it'll change that shading. And then what I've done is I've created a bunch of different widths on that first column. So this one sets the first column here, and I set it to 275. So I set everything to 275, I think. I wrote this like 10 years ago. And I haven't really touched it much since. This first one, this matrix left 150, this is the name that you're going to use. And so I have a matrix left 150, I have a matrix left 200, I have a matrix left 250. I did them in increments of 50. That's just arbitrary, right? You could adapt this to whatever you want. And then I have in each one of those, this is where it's setting that the first column to red, and right aligns the first column. So that's why I like that. I'm controlling in this, I'm controlling the width of how wide this is on each one of those. And I'm right aligning this first column, so you don't have to use that in your HTML labels in each one. But let me show you how to apply that. So you go back into build. Don't say if I don't know what I did. And you'd come into here under edit. And when you look at layout, come down here. And this is where you don't put in the dot. You put the matrix dash left. You put the exact name of what you want. So if I changed this to, let's say 250 and save it, I think it actually, no, and this is where it's one of those weird things. You have to preview and you'll see the differences, but that adjusts the width of this. Let's do that to confirm that. So let's go back to this and edit, layout, okay. And let's make this 550. I think I still have. And again, so notice it doesn't change here. This is one of the parts you're like, oh, hey, it didn't work. But notice now how wide that is, right? It was over here. So we're adjusting how wide that is. So depending on how wide your answers are, this is a great way to make sure everything is right aligned and there's wide enough so it's not wrapping. And it works pretty well when you do preview it in the phone. But and again, it's nice to have the colors in here, and that's it. I don't know CSS. I just keep faking it to make it work. But this is one of those things. It was really weird. They used to have a really good comment or help post on this, and I tried like hell to find the post where I taught myself how to do this, and I couldn't find it, and so therefore I'm recording this video, and that way I'll have it, and if you're interested, right, you learn from it too. So I hope that helps. I was also doing an advanced one here where, just to FYI, if people select over, I think it's over a 5, but let's say so on 1 we gave it a 6, 2, I'll give it a 2, and 3 we'll give it a 7. The next one, it's only going to show the 1 and 3. Right, that's what I was working on. Oh, you know what? This is another one. Stupid. I'm gonna have to build a script for this. Always when you're pre-testing, add that fire actions if you have logic. So 1, 3. Now that should be 1 and 3. There we go. So I want to, after they rate those, which obviously I'm not going to have 1, 2, and 3 here. I have names of courses I'm creating. If they're very interested, I'm going to follow up and say, now pick which one's your favorite, and probably have a follow-up with the why. But they have a new Lua scripting language, which PHP to me was always really confusing. The Lua, it's still confusing because I'm not a programmer, but it does seem a little more straightforward. So anyway, hope that helps. Cheers.